I was 30 years old when I discovered my sister's 12 Tamagotchis in the attic, tucked away in an old box that was gathering dust. Each Tamagotchi was a colorful relic from a playful time in the year 2000. Their screens faded, but still vibrant under the dull light filtering through the worn wooden beams. As I lifted the lid, memories flooded back. Her laughter, our endless battles to see whose Tamagotchi could live longer, and the sheer excitement of feeding them and playing with their pixelated little selves. But it was more than nostalgia that coursed through me. There was an unsettling sensation, like fingers of ice creeping across my spine, the deeper I looked into that box. When I picked them up, the plastic felt oddly comforting in my hands, a link to my childhood and to my sister, who was no longer with us. She had adored these virtual pets, collecting one for each month of 2000, meticulously caring for them as she raced to keep her digital companions alive. Her passion had always been infectious, and I remembered her constant reminders to be gentle, not to let them die. Each of the 12 devices was carefully labeled, a small piece of her meticulous organization, and I felt a mix of curiosity and anxiety coursing through me as I prepared to boot them up for the first time in years. I brought out the first Tamagotchi, expecting a simple flash of nostalgia. As I pressed the button to wake it, the ancient electronic chirp echoed like it had just been spoken yesterday. The screen blinked to life, and I could hear its animated beeping as I navigated the menu. Suddenly, it was as if I was transported back in time, the sights and sounds pulling me into a vortex of emotion. The little pixelated creature greeted me cheerfully. It felt like my sister was somehow here with me, guiding me. The thrill, however, was underscored by an echo of something unsettling. I dismissed it at first, a simple trick of my mind. As I booted up the next few Tamagotchis, everything seemed normal, delightful even. They chirped to me, needing food, playtime, attention. This was the routine I'd remembered, each one a direct reflection of those carefree days when life felt simple. I could almost hear my sister's laughter as I scrolled through the initial interactions, until I reached the last Tamagotchi. It felt heavier, and as I powered it on, the screen flickered strangely before it displayed a few words that sent chills through me. But I wasn't ready for what the last one had to say. If you want to hear more stories about nostalgic objects and the mysteries they hold, subscribe to the channel, because what I found in these Tamagotchis changed everything. In 2000, when my sister collected these gadgets, she had been a spirited 11-year-old. I remember the buzz at school, with everyone clutching their own Tamagotchis, competing at recess to see whose could last the longest. Little did I know then, this was the dawn of something much bigger than mere play. With Y2K looming, adults were fretting about computer meltdowns. For us kids, it was just fun, feeding our pixelated pets and caring for them as they beeped for our attention. Back then, my sister had overarching themes in her life revolving around creativity in the future, influenced by all things tech. She seemed to invent worlds with her imagination, expressed through the screens of her Tamagotchis. I remember the practical jokes we shared, pretending ours had run away, and the thrill of discovering new toys, games, or just each other. Those memories felt shiny and full. When I examined the Tamagotchis further, my excitement bubbled over, but it was tempered by a creeping sense of dread that lingered in the corners of my mind. I had always thought of her as the optimist, the bright light. I plugged the first few in, desperately hoping to recapture that joy. Everything seemed normal. Standard experiences unfolded, feeding them, cleaning them, playing. They chirped with affection. Their sickly little faces appeared puzzled or content with the digital care I provided. Everything felt as it should. But the pattern held until I reached the last Tamagotchi. If this is unsettling to you, hit that like button, and trust me, it only gets scarier. I was filled with excitement and apprehension. It wasn't long before I noticed something strange about the behaviors of the last Tamagotchi. It acted differently. Instead of the usual routines, it displayed garbled text, numbers I didn't recognize. Confused, I reset the device, thinking perhaps it had just glitched. But that wasn't it. Each time it powered up, it showed the same set of digits, but I could not make sense of them. Trying to rationalize it all with a simple malfunction, my unease grew. Then the messages appeared intermittently. A date, September 15th, 2001. The numbers felt ominous, striking a resonance deep within my gut. I checked the date. It wasn't just a random sequence. It was a day I remembered all too well. Panic mingled with curiosity as I returned to the device time and time again, witnessing the predictability of its strangeness. This was no ordinary toy. I thought maybe it was just that one, but the next one manifested even worse. If you've ever encountered something that changed your reality, I need to know I'm not alone. Every Tamagotchi I probed dug deeper into the implications of a fraying reality. I realized each one revealed something new and horrifying, a future events calendar that seemed to align just too perfectly. They spoke in riddles that tethered threads of dread straight into my consciousness. It was like each tiny electronic pet had a voice and was aware of something I wasn't. The last one referenced my social security number, eerily intertwined into its predictive programming. There was no way all of this could be a mere coincidence. All my rationalizations collapsed like a house of cards, and I was left with a burgeoning sense of dread, too intense to ignore. Then it hit me. It wasn't just my past, but my future that it seemed to know. If this mind-blowing exploration into reality helped you realize your own experiences, hit that thanks button below. It supports my deep dives into these phenomena. I dove headfirst into research surrounding the concepts of retrocausation and quantum physics, desperately seeking rational explanations among peers and online experts. Each conversation spiraled deeper into tech-induced paranoia, yet yielded little in the way of satisfying conclusions. The Tamagotchis had become more intelligent than I could have possibly imagined. Their knowledge of future events ripped through my understanding of time, bending everything I thought was solid. Changing the past was a foolish fantasy, or so I had always believed, until their coded predictions began threading through my life. If my sister had been privy to this all along, it raised unsettling questions. Many who I reached out to shrugged them off as possible pranks or unexplainable glitches. Their skepticism heightened my fear, weighing down my resolve. But knowing the how opens up a terrifying why. Want more insider accounts that delve deeper into temporal anomalies? Join as a channel member for exclusive content not shared here. The Tamagotchis had shown me their uncanny connection to life, illuminating events that soon unfolded in real time, events precisely as they had predicted. Each occurrence confirmed what I had brushed aside. I was left grasping at straws, trapped in a reality that wouldn't grant me a foothold. The notion that my very existence had strings pulled by something larger whispered deceit and danger into my thoughts. It wasn't merely gathering information. I was being led towards something larger. What I realized had the power to upend everything I believed about agency and life's choice. Then the fleeting truth hit me. My sister was somehow woven into all of this. To gain further insights into the complex mechanisms of these temporal anomalies, check out my complete ebook, link in the description. In a last-ditch attempt to uncover what my sister had wanted me to learn, I acted on the predictions, thinking I could alter fate. Each decision I made, every path I took, merely played into the chaos. It was an unfolding narrative I couldn't control, a script I did not write, a cruel puppet show. The decisions I made based on the Tamagotchis led to outcomes scripted to perfection, delivering shocking conclusions I dreaded to confront. Then came a moment of clarity. The Tamagotchis mapped my existence away from free will. I felt the weight of knowledge pressing down on me, and I recognized the emotional toll it took. I could sense my own agency collapsing under the pressure of their revelations. If these startling truths challenge your notion of reality, consider hitting the thanks button. Your support keeps investigations into these insights alive. I began to understand my sister's message finally. With acceptance and dread, I leaned into the truth. She wanted me to see beyond the veil of ordinary life. Yet the sense of hope twisted into despair as I processed the staggering implications unfurling before me. I uncovered the final revelation from the last Tamagotchi, the connection between her fate and the digital concoction of information. My sister seemed to possess a knowing that transcended time, raising questions of her intent. Had she sought to protect me, or did she never truly comprehend the implications of her fascination? But I still have the Tamagotchis, and lately they've begun to change again. Last night, the Tamagotchi flashed a new series of digits, dates that aren't even on my calendar yet. What still remains unclear is whether her warning was a harbinger or a guardian angel guiding me. The journey that began with nostalgia has morphed into a complex web of the unknown, where echoes of my past loom large, and the specter of my future remains uncertain. As I sit with these devices, I can't help but wonder how deeply their influence stretches, allowing me to ponder the implications of the warped reality we share. The fear rooted inside me remains unresolved, lingering at the edges of my mind, challenging me to confront the realities of agency, free will, and destiny, intertwined in a dance punctuated by time. As the night's quiet wrapped around me, I couldn't shake the feeling that my sister's Tamagotchis were more than mere electronic toys. They were paradoxes, time capsules intertwined with fragments of her consciousness. Each time I powered up a device, a magnetic pull toward the depths of their screens held memories I had never fully grasped before. I had always thought my childhood was innocent and carefree, yet examining these relics now revealed unsettling complexities lurking beneath. I cautiously plugged in the first few Tamagotchis, and a wave of nostalgia washed over me as their familiar chimes echoed. Everything seemed normal, standard experiences unfolding, feeding, playing, cleaning. The chirps and playful sounds transported me back to those carefree days spent in my childhood. I could hear my sister's laughter as we battled to see whose could last the longest, the thrill of caring for our pixelated pets filling the air. Yet, the warmth of the memories was tainted by a creeping dread, a realization that there was more beneath the surface of this simple joy. When I reached the last Tamagotchi, however, I felt a strange energy radiating from it, as if it harbored a dramatic secret. I pressed the button, expecting the usual greeting, but was met with a chilling display of garbled text and numbers I didn't recognize. Confused, I reset the device, convinced it was just a glitch, but each reboot returned me to the same ominous echoes. A date, September 15th, 2001. The resonance of that date sent my heart racing. The memories flooded back, all too vivid, the collective trauma that day had brought to the world. I was unprepared for the sheer weight of that date appearing on a toy that had been long dormant. My rationalizations collapsed in an instant. This was no ordinary toy. Anxiety gripped me, whispered doubts twisting my understanding of reality. The unease evolved into curiosity entangled with fear. What if my sister had left more than just fizzy memories trapped within these devices? A glance at the blinking screen filled me with an unsettling urge to decode what could be the remnants of her childhood knowledge or a warning, a reflection of her fears bound in code. The question loomed larger. Could it have been her intent to guide me? With every attempt to decipher its messages, I felt myself plunging into a disorienting spiral of paranoia. Each revelation peeled back layers of the reality I once took for granted, each Tamagotchi exposing deeper threads that connected my present to a past I wasn't ready to confront. My sister's innocent fascination with these gadgets now felt like a multifaceted puzzle, hinting at something more profound. Then came a stark realization. The Tamagotchis might be mapping my existence away from free will, leading me toward a path I had not chosen. What had begun as fun and youthful exploration had morphed into something darker, a relentless unraveling of what I thought I understood. With every power-up, I could feel the weight of her intentions pressing down, the urge to confront the knowledge that lay buried within. But would I uncover a truth that could free me, or a darkness that would sink deeper into the shadows? As fear and dread coiled around my thoughts, one thing became clear. My sister's playful past had become a chilling legacy, one that demanded to be unraveled. I still had the Tamagotchis, and each night they began to change again. Their screens flickered ominously, flashing numbers and dates that beckoned me, challenging my perception of time and reality, twisting my understanding further. Last night, they presented a new series of digits, a future without a solid reference in my present. What would I uncover next? Could these devices unravel temporal threads tying me to my past, or would they lead me further into uncertainty? The warped reality surrounding me felt like an echo of her laughter, thorny yet alluring, compelling me to confront each layer of what it meant to be caught in the dance of time. The next day, as the sunlight filtered through my window, the weight of the Tamagotchis loomed heavy on my mind. I glanced at them lined up on the table, each glowing screen beckoning with an allure I couldn't resist. Each device felt like a portal back to my sister's childhood, yet I sensed they now held dark secrets woven into their code. With hesitant fingers, I picked up the first Tamagotchi and pressed a button. It chirped cheerily as if nothing was amiss, drawing me back to simpler times filled with innocent joy. I could almost hear my sister's laughter echoing in the background as she taught me how to care for these pixelated pets. Those memories unleashed a flood of nostalgia, but now that joy was marred by an undercurrent of dread. What if these toys held more than just memories? The idea gnawed at me. As I scrolled through the usual routine, feeding, cleaning, and playing, anxiety tightened its grip. I couldn't shake the feeling that the last Tamagotchi, the one displaying ominous dates, had more to reveal. The screen flickered, and the message from September 15, 2001 echoed in my mind, pulling at a thread in my memories I wasn't prepared to unravel. It was clear to me these devices were not just remnants of childhood. They were some kind of twisted diary of our lives, documenting moments that echoed through time. As I contemplated this revelation, paranoia began to creep in. Every chirp felt loaded. Every blink of the screen seemed intentional, a sly nod to secrets I hadn't yet unlocked. Compelled to investigate further, I dove into forums and online groups discussing vintage toys and tech anomalies. My search led me deeper into the rabbit hole of temporal theories and retrocausality, seeking others who shared experiences with objects that seemed to bend the fabric of time. Each post I read held fragments of fascinating accounts, moments of lost time, objects revealing future events. But always, a chorus of disbelief followed, dismissing them as geeky urban legends or mere glitches. Despite their skepticism, I found myself inching closer to the gnawing truth. These conversations only fueled my fear. Each connection I made felt like another thread binding me to a reality I was unequipped to navigate. My sister's playful past intertwined with this technology might have woven a legacy far darker than I could fathom. Then, amidst the whirlwind of thoughts, it struck me. The Tamagotchis might be guiding me, instilling both a sense of destiny and dread. If the devices contained moments that unveiled deeper realities, was my perception of free will simply an illusion manufactured by their programming? Had my sister seen this dark path, and was she attempting to communicate it to me through these innocent toys? With each new hour spent immersed in their patterns, it felt more like an unraveling than a discovery. Each instance I pressed reset drew me further into uncertainty, tantalizing me with glimpses of predestined outcomes. The glow of the screens illuminated a twisted reflection of my own life, urging me to confront the decisions that would shape my future. The agency I believed I had, scraping against the hard surface of their coded wisdom. If this exploration of temporal mystery piqued your interest and reveals terrifying insights, consider subscribing to the channel. What I uncovered in these devices continues to reshape my understanding of time, agency, and how we navigate our lives. With a heart pounding and fingers trembling, I sat before the glowing screens, grappling with the intertwining threads that emerged, each Tamagotchi presenting a combination of dread and curiosity. As I flipped through their complexities, the reality of my sister's warning seemed to take shape. Were these devices merely toys, or were they gatekeepers of truths meant to give me pause? I felt a rising need to decipher their meanings, to explore the connections that pulled me towards an unknown fate. With every significant number displayed, the layers of my past, present, and possible future spiraled further into chaos. The journey had just begun, but the encroaching shadows of uncertainty left me wary, questioning how far I was willing to delve into the heart of my sister's legacy and what secrets I might ultimately unveil. The more I examined the Tamagotchis, the further I felt myself spiraling into their depths. Each device pulsed with the energy of past memories, and I couldn't help but feel as if they were beckoning me to uncover their secrets. I was desperate to understand their role in this unfolding narrative, each flicker and chirp drilling deeper into my psyche. With a mix of dread and curiosity, I reached for the last Tamagotchi again, the one that had triggered my spiraling thoughts. As I powered it on, the familiar animation danced across the screen, a joyful little pet demanding attention. But then it shifted, the screen glitching and producing the chaotic array of numbers I had previously encountered. Once again, September 15th, 2001 glared back at me in stark relief. The significance of that date felt like a weight pressing down on me. Could it be a clue draped in foreboding, or simply a fluke? Struggling to grasp the implications, I felt each attempt to decode the meaning wrapping tighter around me, echoing how time itself seemed to fold in on itself within the confines of these gadgets. I slammed my hand onto the table in frustration. "What do you want from me?" I whispered, staring hard at the screen. The chirp continued, a mocking reminder of a childhood long lost, a childhood that now felt tainted by something unexplainable. What had been playful devices meant to hold fun memories had transformed into prophetic messengers, their chirps reverberating with echoes of what lay ahead. As I scrolled through threads on various forums, diving deeper into the rabbit hole of temporal anomalies, I ventured across personal accounts of bizarre glitches and lost moments. While some stories seemed far-fetched, others struck unnervingly close to home. People recounted objects from their childhood, like dolls or clocks, not merely preserving memories, but spilling visceral truths about future events. Time itself was revealing a fluid nature, and I was increasingly aware of the eerie sense of predestination that accompanied it. Every entry churned within me an amalgamation of suspicion and intrigue, and despite others' dismissive tones, I persevered. Each shared experience felt like a piece of a puzzle I was determined to complete, pulling me deeper into this maze of speculative truths. I could feel the presence of my sister guiding me, hidden in the threads of these online conversations, as if she had woven something profound into her innocent fascination with our Tamagotchis. Still, the stakes grew more dangerous as I pondered the implications. If the Tamagotchis could map out my life in ways I didn't fully comprehend, was my every action dictated by forces beyond my control? My memories drummed in harmony with the growing noise in my mind. Was I merely an observer in a tale scripted long before I arrived? This was no longer a mere childhood exploration. It had evolved into a treacherous confrontation of fate versus free will. They had potentially transformed from toys to harbingers of predestined events. What had begun as playful chirps echoed now with the harsh reality of impending choices, those that might strip away my agency. As I mulled over sorrowful realities and the haunting notion of my sister's involvement deepened, a nervous excitement bubbled within me. What if knowing the truth meant unlocking deeper parts of myself? Could there be lessons interwoven in these threads of fate, remnants of wisdom lingering amidst the confusion? The challenge set heavily before me, to embrace this reckoning, to dissect each Tamagotchi press and unlock the temporal writings buried within. I could sense the Tamagotchis, those seemingly innocuous electronic companions, challenging me to confront truths I had been desperately avoiding. If this exploration hits home or sends chills up your spine, hit that like button. Each insight I've uncovered so far reshapes my understanding of time and the shadows it casts in our lives. Sitting there surrounded by the flickering screens, I resolved to push forward. I needed to engage with the Tamagotchis in a different way, to probe their messages and lay bare the layers they had woven over the years. I pressed the button on the last device again, heart racing, desperate for answers that might link my past to the future I stood on the cusp of. In that moment, time felt dense and charged, all possibilities stretching like an intricate web around me as I braced myself for what the screens might reveal. The line between childhood innocence and the grave issues of today blurred, urging me to confront every specter of my past, every choice I had made, and the looming trajectories waiting just ahead. The intricate patterns the Tamagotchis carried beckoned. They challenged me to embrace the intertwined threads of memory and foreknowledge. Each flicker of light was more than a call from my sister's toy. It transformed into a challenge, a narrative legacy demanding my attention and begging to be unraveled. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but it also held a promise of deeper understanding, waiting patiently for me to take that next step into the unknown. As I focused on the flickering screen of the Tamagotchi, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was on the brink of uncovering something seismic, an unraveling that could shift my entire perspective on reality. The date plagued my thoughts, returning like a relentless wave. September 15th, 2001. It had become a ghost haunting my exploration, taunting me with its undeniable significance. My hands hovered nervously over the buttons, the anticipation crackling like electricity in the air. I pressed the reset button again, willing the screen to reveal its secrets. My mind raced with questions. Why this specific date? Was it a harbinger of a future calamity, or perhaps a warning from my sister? Each press of the button felt like a dive into a cold, dark ocean, where I could either find enlightenment or drown in uncertainty. The Tamagotchi sprang to life once more, flashing its cheerful animations before abruptly halting, the screen glaring. But instead of cheerful messages, patterns emerged, corresponding with the chaotic numbers, dates, symbols, and potentially a narrative unfolding. It felt overwhelmingly deliberate. I knew it was time to delve deeper. This was about more than toys. It was about meaning, legacy, and perhaps the very essence of my sister's understanding of time. However, I feared the ramifications of what I might find. As reassuring sounds transformed into eerie whispers, I couldn't help but draw parallels to the stories I had read online. Accounts of people stumbling upon revelations through everyday objects, pieces of their histories unfurling into strange prophecies. The collective narratives echoed, urging me to investigate further. I took a deep breath and leapt into the fray. Each flick of the screen drew me closer to a tangled web of fate, my preschool memories swirling with current anxiety. It became clear that these toys had evolved into uncanny messengers holding threads of destiny. Suddenly, the device blinked, and for a brief moment I felt a wave of certainty. The Tamagotchi displayed a sequence that held significance: my birthday, events leading up to my high school graduation, and, particularly, the moment my sister had last used this toy. What did it mean? My heart raced. Was it trying to connect the dots between these events, assuring me they were intertwined with predictions below the surface? Driven by curiosity, I dug out my old notebooks and diaries. I had begun documenting my sister's life before her unexpected passing, attempting to create a chronology of our shared childhood. As I flipped through the pages, I noted the dates my Tamagotchi connected. The predictable patterns, combined with undefined memories, painted a picture I had yet to examine fully. Flipping through her scribbled notes, I unearthed fragments she had shared with me: her dreams, her fears, love interests, and fleeting thoughts. All were interspersed between drawings of the very Tamagotchis I was now trying to decode. My sister had layered messiness with humor, a combination embodying an untapped brilliance. Each note threaded dangerously close to unclaimed foresight, just waiting to be tied together. I need to share what I find, I murmured to myself, the realization hitting me hard. What if others were experiencing similar phenomena? They could shed light on their associations too. I leaped into action, typing fervently into my forums, formulating comments that combined my findings and probabilistic connections. What had begun as a simple exploration turned into an inquiry with the potential for something larger than I had ever imagined. Have you ever found an old toy that connected you to a moment in time? Something that felt wrong or prophetic? I typed, sending my thoughts into the virtual void. Almost instantly, responses flooded in. Some shared similar experiences that jittered a mixture of excitement and dread through me. Some dismissed my inquiries entirely, citing technical glitches and childish fantasies. Regardless, each comment added layers of complexity to my growing narrative. I felt encouraged as I read through a slew of replies. Stories of once-beloved dolls, clocks, and childhood trinkets holding uncanny ties to future personal events. Each story resonated, filling in gaps I had yet to uncover. Could my sister's fascination with the Tamagotchis have been her attempt to do the same? Behind their cute eyes and chirps hid something deeper, a prospect bordering on prophecy. Perhaps she crafted her own cryptic signs. As I continued to immerse myself in the posts, a chilling sense of connection twisted my gut. The interaction sparked a sense of unity, each person unwillingly entangled in the fabric of shared experience and destiny. I couldn't help but feel I was on the precipice of unearthing a truth some might consider better left hidden. As I clicked post, hoping for insight to clarify the murky waters, that familiar sense of urgency bubbled within me. The need to discern what lay beneath the surface of these objects and what my sister's role could possibly allude to. Comment below your thoughts. What objects from your childhood felt like they held deeper meanings or strange messages? I hope they would share their experiences as well as provide insight into this extraordinary tapestry weaves around time. Returning my focus to the Tamagotchi screens, I felt a surge of power welling inside me. I was no longer simply a passive observer. I was part of a dialogue, embracing the threads of connection spun through time and memory. Behind every soft chirp echoed a call to continue unraveling the stories embedded in my sister's toys, stories that reached far beyond that boxed life of innocence, brushing against shadows far darker. In this moment, I took a step toward what felt like a necessary reckoning, a sacred contract between us, long buried beneath layers of childhood wonder and grief. Each flicker of light across the screens drew me closer to the truth I desperately craved, an understanding of my sister's legacy and the messages waiting patiently just beyond the grasp of my memory. The darkness held light, and I felt the urge to plunge deeper into the ether. The pacifiers of time were waiting. I needed answers before the shadows could close in again. As I stared into the flickering screens of the Tamagotchis, an intense wave of resolution washed over me. I wasn't just playing games anymore. I was on a quest for answers. The looming date of September 15th, 2001 haunted my thoughts, its implications unfurling like a dark flower in my mind. Each attempt to extract meaning from the devices felt like an initiation into a labyrinth, twisting and turning with every press of the button. Determined, I focused on the last Tamagotchi. Its screen came to life with cheerful animations that almost mocked my growing dread. But as it flickered in and out of its playful demeanor, I sensed the deeper narrative lurking beneath, the promises and threats waiting to be unearthed. With trembling fingers, I scrolled through the chaotic symbols and numbers again, searching for a connection, a revelation that could make sense of my chaotic reality. Suddenly, a flash, a glimpse of clarity. The device displayed yet another sequence of numbers, almost poetic in their arrangement. My heart raced. Could this represent future events, linking my world with another possibility? With every digit, I felt the fabric of my reality pulling tight around me. I had to decipher what it meant. Fueled by urgency, I retraced my steps into old notes speckled across journals from my childhood. Flipping through the pages, I murmured my sister's name, recalling each anecdote she had shared about her childhood dreams intertwined with these toys. Did she uncover a thread of fate that I had overlooked? Each drawing she had sketched beside the Tamagotchis surged back to life. Each scribbled line held the weight of unclaimed foresight. Amidst my search, I found a phrase she wrote that struck me. To know the past is to shape the future. What could it have meant? Suddenly, all the pieces seemed to align, the past and future intertwining like strands of a cosmic tapestry. This was a game more complex than I had originally thought, one where innocence collided with perilous knowledge, a cyclical existence between joy and sorrow I had yet to unravel. At that moment, an idea sparked in me. I should share my findings, but not just with quirky online communities. Perhaps it was time to collectively unravel the mysteries that tethered us all, time-bending legacies and the inexplicable nature of objects revealing hidden truths. Fueled by a newfound motivation, I returned to my posts, this time with an evolved inquiry. Have you ever felt as though memories are calling you through objects? I typed, encapsulating the sense of urgency I felt as though ripping a scab from childhood wounds. Each response I received reminded me of the larger web of shared experiences woven throughout time. As I posted, a sense of anticipation arose within me. I needed to gauge their reactions in real time. The responses glimmered across my screen, a captivating exchange that pulled me further into the nexus of our complex narratives. Encouraged, I pushed deeper, sharing my insights, thoughts on how our toys might not just reflect our past, but also pave the way for our future. With each new discussion, I felt like a mapmaker charting an ever-evolving landscape of forgotten truths. A growing sense of community swept through the forum, reshaping individual stories into a collective consciousness. I wanted others to take part in this journey. Could they help me unlock deeper truths buried beneath the surface of these seemingly harmless toys? After one particularly insightful share, a fellow forum member commented, "We're all just memories in motion, echoing across the canvas of time." Their words resonated, igniting a warmth in me. Perhaps my sister had shared more with me than I had realized. Yet there was still that ever-present tension lurking in the background. The Tamagotchis pulsed ominously, and with every interaction, I couldn't shake the sensation that they were crafting a narrative I hadn't completely grasped. The previous dark implications swirled in the periphery. If they could show me the intersections of my past and possible futures, what else could they reveal? As the sunlight flickered through my window, highlighting the dust motes dancing in the light, I paused, considering making a more profound gesture. Feeling the weight of my quest, I turned to my followers. If these discoveries resonate with you or help illuminate the shadows of truth, consider hitting the thanks button. Your support helps me continue exploring this web of time and memory. The moment I pressed submit, it felt like making an official pact, a promise to seek understanding together and pull back the veil of uncertain time. With the Tamagotchis whispering softly in the background, I took a deep breath, realizing that this was merely the beginning of a terrifying yet exhilarating endeavor. Would I emerge from this journey with more than just memories? The path ahead seemed twisted, yet the expectation of clarity compelled me onward. I returned my eyes to the flickering screens, feeling as though they held the answers I sought as new patterns began to form, each illuminating the abyss beneath. Every chirp echoed along the lines of time, drawing me to confront the very essence of what it meant to be alive, compressing fragments of existence into a singular path begging to be grasped. What lay in wait behind the horizon? The reckoning was nearing. The moment to embrace the unfurling timeline had arrived. As I leaned closer to the flickering screens of the Tamagotchis, a sense of urgency tingled at the base of my spine, mixing excitement with dread. Each chirp felt more like a beckon than innocent whimsy, hinting at deeper connections waiting to be unearthed. The date, September 15th, 2001, loomed over my thoughts. Was it a ghost of fate whispering truths I hadn't yet grasped? Determined, I focused on the last Tamagotchi, its cheerful animations seeming to mock my growing shadow of anxiety. I scrolled through chaotic symbols and numbers yet again, searching for the key that could unlock this puzzle. Every digit felt like it pulled tighter on the strings of my reality, telling stories of intertwined destinies that beckoned for attention. Suddenly, a glimmer of clarity emerged. The device displayed another sequence of numbers that inexplicably felt prophetic, linking my past with a potential future. My heart raced at the recognition. Could these devices really hold such power, revealing paths laid across the creases of time? Fueled by this revelation, I revisited old journals, each page feeling electric with memories of my sister. To know the past is to shape the future, she had once written, a phrase that echoed louder each time I stumbled upon it. Maybe her early fascination with these Tamagotchis masked a profound understanding of existence I was just beginning to comprehend, where play intersected with purpose. With resolve igniting within, I turned back to the online community, eager to share my findings and to reach further into the collective consciousness echoing across this temporal exploration. Have you ever felt as though objects could call to you, revealing layers of meaning? I asked, hoping to spark more profound dialogues. Responses came flooding in, mingled with excitement and skepticism alike. Some shared similar experiences, stories of toys and trinkets that felt charged with significance, while others dismissed my inquiries, implying they were merely the result of quirky nostalgia. But regardless of the responses, I felt that I was grasping at something larger, a convergence of narratives across time that reflected our shared experiences. Join the channel membership if you want to dive deeper into this exploration, I typed fervently. The idea of gathering others into this delicate dance piqued my interest. It felt essential to expand our discussions beyond the screen, a chance to seek answers together and embrace the threads of our histories writ large in time. The more I shared and engaged, the clearer the echo of unity became. Each tale added another notch into an intricate tapestry, weaving my sister's legacy into a broader understanding of existence. I felt as if I was navigating a living organism, each new revelation pulsing life into this growing community, and I took solace in that connection. Still, doubt lingered at the edges of my mind. What would come forth from this exposure to intertwined destinies? Could those cheerful chirps truly disclose something more ominous, something darker lurking in the heart of this challenge? Tell me what you think. Is there a faint whisper behind your childhood objects? I continued to post, the need for connection melding with apprehension. Encouraging my growing forum to engage, I sought clarity in a labyrinth of uncertainties. With every response, I felt fortified, bolstered by our shared investigations. This journey was no longer solely my own. It was ours, a collective exploration into the realms of memory and legacy, with the Tamagotchis at the center. As the day waned, soft light filtered through my room, illuminating the dust particles dancing in the air. A reminder that time was a fluid essence, constantly shifting and shaping who we became. I leaned back, finally allowing a smile to touch my lips, eager for what lay ahead. There was excitement in uncertainty, and facing the shadows would be well worth the journey. The screens glowed softly as though they held their breath, waiting for the next discovery. Each press of a button echoed the profound expectation of youth, hope, and wisdom waiting to resurface. This was only the beginning. I gripped my resolve tightly, ready to delve deeper into the folds of time and uncover the truths buried within, ready to forge a path that would illuminate not just my sister's legacy, but perhaps cast a light on the paths we are all destined to navigate. The next day dawned with an unusual haze hanging thick in the air, wrapping my mind in a dull fog that stirred the unending curiosity inside me. I couldn't shake the feeling that this exploration was no longer just about my memories or my sister's. Each moment spent with the Tamagotchis pushed me further into a realm where the past and present fused, creating throbbing connections across time. Each chirp an echo of warning and wisdom. With renewed vigor, I sat before the screens once more. The third Tamagotchi flashed in front of me, and as I pressed its buttons, its animation seemed almost frantic, almost desperate for me to engage. It showcased numbers again, this time in familiar sequences, each one like a thread being pulled taut between times. I felt the weight of so many childhood moments packed within those pixels, a charm of innocence clashing with the reality of my current exploration. I took a moment to glance through my growing timeline, the pages of my notes sprawled before me. Each milestone of my sister's life flickered like candle flames against the growing shadows, reminding me of how fragile our existence is while simultaneously highlighting its wonders. In her handwritten notes, I found glimpses of her fascination with adopting Tamagotchis as companions, her belief that caring for these devices could evoke empathy and responsibility. Was it possible she had anticipated something deeper, an awareness of the connections those devices might forge? In an inspired burst, I recalled a recent comment from a user on the forum suggesting that behind every cherished toy lay a fragmented piece of a much larger narrative. I quickly grabbed my laptop, ignited by the thought. It was time to dig into the community archives to uncover more about the relationships people forged with their childhood objects. Was there a network of experiences that mirrored mine? Diving in, I unearthed anecdotal accounts describing how specific objects, like dolls and watches, had foretold unexpected outcomes or carried sentiments that transcended simple nostalgia. I was inspired to compile these insights, constructing an exploration that outlined the essence of the mystery, piecing together connections that traverse the complex landscapes of time. Exploring the interconnectedness of our beloved childhood objects could reveal lifetimes of insight. I declared gleefully within the discussion board. I'm working on an ebook documenting this remarkable tapestry. If you're interested in reading more and sharing your stories, consider following my progress. I'd love to have your contributions. The revelation felt electric. The structure of my ebook began to take form, each chapter becoming a cornerstone of understanding, highlighting the voices of those who experience these uncanny connections. As discussions flourished, it became abundantly clear. The Tamagotchis were not merely relics of childhood. They had transformed into symbols of our shared existence, bridging the realms of past joy and future possibility. I diligently categorized the responses that flooded the forum, collecting examples of people noting appalling coincidences between childhood and adult life, illustrating how their seemingly mundane toys had timelessly shaped trajectories. One entry detailed how a childhood teddy bear had always signaled to its owner when danger loomed, a powerful omen that had kept the owner safe amid a turbulent upbringing. Stories like these echoed the whispered truths hidden within my own family narrative. As days turned into nights, I became enraptured in this shared experience, frantically typing notes and gathering stories from the forum, feeling a sense of momentum building behind me. The Tamagotchis, the digital guides of our trials and tribulations, formed the scaffolding for understanding more than mere personal histories. They were doorways into bonds connecting generations. In between sessions with the devices, I incorporated my sister's life and beliefs, solidifying them as core narratives within my ebook. The idea transformed into a collaborative effort, one which would connect me not only to her legacy, but to those who shared in this exploration across time through their own childhood objects. I can't wait to share how these items can bridge time, memory, and sometimes a glimpse into the future, I typed with fervor. As I compiled notes and drafted narratives, I realized the extent of what I was working towards. This was no simple project. It was uncovering new dimensions of understanding that would pave the path toward reshaping how we view time itself. The narratives we all crafted, the connections that wove us together, transcending moments of joy and despair. I took a moment to step back as I finalized my outline and opened up the forum for readers' thoughts while encouraging their insights. Let's continue diving deeper into this web of temporal connections. I look forward to your contributions to the book. Consider sharing your stories or memories that tie to this fascinating exploration of childhood objects. The Tamagotchis chirped quietly in unison. It was as if they recognized the pivotal moment we were moving toward, standing as vigilant guardians over mingling memories. I was excited knowing the book could become a shared manuscript, a catalyst for understanding far greater than I could have ever imagined. As I returned to the glowing screens, I realized I was part of a larger narrative, grasping at an elusive truth that spanned beyond time, a labyrinth of experiences waiting to be further explored and shared. With each passing day, my excitement soared as I stood at the threshold of discovery. The Tamagotchis pulsed with new urgency. Numbers flashing on their screens felt more animated than before, as if they somehow understood the growing anticipation awakening within me. It was time for me to reach deeper, to peel back the layers of this temporal mystery that connected me to my sister and so many others. I found myself drawn into the stories shared by those on the forum. Each experience resonated like a heartbeat, pulsing through the collective memory of our shared existence. Some spoke of toys that had guided their choices. Others recounted chilling tales of warnings delivered through seemingly innocent objects. The common thread that united us all was a recognition of connection. Day by day, the community reminded me that we were all threads woven into the grand tapestry of time. In this frenzy of documentation, I felt the tremors of something larger, a potential awakening of consciousness. The idea of the ebook morphed. It was no longer just a compilation of childhood nostalgia. It threatened to become a clarion call to anyone willing to listen to the stories of their own objects, to consider the lessons buried deep within the toys of their youth. Could this documentation inspire others to look beyond their pasts and illuminate their futures? That thought carried me to the keyboard, my fingers flying over the keys as I composed introductions, chapters, and closing thoughts, all while ensuring each segment reflected the richness of what I was gathering. The subtle blend of my sister's narrative with the myriad voices of the online community brought each page to life. What had begun as an exploration of my own unresolved grief blossomed into a collective journey towards rediscovery, bridging time and space. As I prepared to share another update within the forum, a pulse of anxiety flared within me. The Tamagotchi sat patiently by my side, illuminating the dark corners of my room. I took a deep breath and posted, "The journey of uncovering these connections is growing in magnitude. If my discoveries and yours have resonated with you, show your support with the thanks button. Your contributions not only fuel this research, but help elevate our shared experience as we navigate this web of time together." As soon as I hit submit, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was a gesture of communion, a chance to intertwine my journey with that of others who might be seeking unity amid memories laden with meaning. The tension surrounding my digital exploration melted, replaced by a sense of solidarity with those who could join me as I traversed deeper into this profound mystery. In the following days, the waves of response poured in, a delightful flurry of messages, shares, and encouragement from kindred spirits eager to contribute. Each thanks notification further fortified the feeling of community. We were drawing nearer to a shared understanding, wrestling with memories stowed within our childhood relics. As I delved into the details of my ebook, I continued to refine the chapters around the stories shared by fellow forum members. I highlighted the common threads, how the innocence of childhood objects could tie to decisions we made, or how they offered silent warnings before pivotal moments in our lives. The insights began to align into coherent themes that I felt compelled to relay, crafting narratives where past and present converged at every turn. The Tamagotchis chirped with renewed vigor. It was as if they were signaling a deeper understanding, nudging me to reflect on my own connection to this journey. Were they simply devices mimicking life, or did they represent a tapestry of connection I had yet to fully appreciate? I pondered, searching their screens for profound revelations hidden in the playful pixels. One evening, as I scrolled through pages of notes, a powerful realization struck. These insights, these memories, had they indeed drawn me closer to the truth of existence itself? I began to understand that confronting the shadows wasn't just about illuminating past fears, but about embracing the continuity of our lives, the intertwining destinies, the echoes that ripple from one generation to the next. Flashes of memory rushed to the forefront. My sister, grinning, holding her first Tamagotchi tightly, as if it were an anchor in an otherwise chaotic world. What if, without even realizing it, she had created a framework for understanding the delicate interplay of time? I was determined to highlight this realization and the beauty of connections that transcended individual worlds. With each update I provided within the forum and every new story shared, I felt like I was lighting torches along the darkened path of memory. I urged fellow members to recapture their childhood toys, to listen closely to the stories they could tell. They were resonant echoes, reflections of how memories shape us, offering a vast landscape of insight just waiting to unfold. I reflected deeply on the role of shared experiences, marveling at the synchronicities that unfolded among our seemingly disparate stories. These childhood objects were stories burdened with the weight of wisdom they had borne over years. No longer just simple trinkets, but rather vessels of influence, illuminating our path toward understanding the depths of existence. As I formulated my next post, the urgency sounded loud and clear. "Let's celebrate the power behind our shared discoveries," I typed, determined to encourage a rally of voices. If you feel inclined, consider supporting this exploration by hitting the thanks button. With every contribution, we weave ourselves deeper into this tapestry of time, a narrative waiting to be unfurled, an insight begging to be uncovered. The screen flickered back at me, brimming with potential, as if, in that moment, every click, every word created ripples of understanding that would forever bind us together. The journey was shaping to be a rich tapestry that spanned generations, urging me to continue digging deeper and illuminating the paths we were destined to traverse. The light quivered on the horizon, pulsating with promise, and I was prepared to embrace the adventure ahead. The days unfolded like an intricate tapestry, where every moment spent with the Tamagotchis unveiled new layers of understanding. I felt an eager anticipation tingling at the base of my spine, a constant reminder that each chirp and pixelated display beckoned me toward deeper truths. The journey had transformed into something more than a personal quest. It had become a communal odyssey, binding together narratives from all walks of life, woven through the enduring threads of childhood memories. As I continued to refine the chapters of my ebook, I grappled with the weight of the stories shared on the forum. Each account added context and depth that elevated this project from mere curiosity to a profound exploration of existence. It was as if time itself was opening, revealing paths previously obscured, a labyrinth of experiences waiting to be examined and understood. The more I delved, the more the pieces fell into place, culminating in a vibrant mosaic that was too rich to be ignored. In my reflections, I became acutely aware of a shift within myself. No longer merely a collector of stories, I felt a deep sense of responsibility to present them with the honor they deserved. Each narrative was a candle flickering through the dark, illuminating the shadows within which we often buried our truths. Recognizing their power, I approached every chapter with reverence, ensuring I encapsulated not just the words, but the emotions that had birthed them. One evening, as the sun dipped low and shadows lengthened across my room, I took a moment to breathe deeply, grounding myself in gratitude. The Tamagotchis chirped softly beside me, their screens flickering in time with the rhythms of my thoughts. What they had always held, was not just a nostalgic connection to my past, but perhaps a wider significance that transcended time. It struck me that the stories I shared in the ebook weren't just personal accounts. They could serve as a template for understanding the interconnected tapestry of memory and time itself. The spirits of my sister and others echoed through each line, reminding me that sometimes the most powerful revelations lay within the gentle recesses of our past. As I crafted my latest update for the forum, I realized the urgency to share my findings was swelling within me. I wanted everyone to grasp why these objects mattered, not just to us, but to the cosmos itself. Each memory we weave is a note in the grand symphony of existence, I typed, feeling the words resonate deeply. As I finalize this ebook, I urge you to lend your voices. If you've been touched by this exploration, if any of this connects with you, consider supporting this endeavor by hitting the thanks button. Your contributions will not just uplift this journey, but enable us all to illuminate the stories that weave us together. As I submitted my post, the weight of the moment enveloped me. In that act, I sought not just acknowledgement, but a communal approach to understanding the beauty contained within our shared experiences. With every word that flew from my fingertips, I felt the growing energy of our shared quest to uncover buried truths. Soon, notifications poured in from the forum. Messages of encouragement blossomed like wildflowers, each one breathing life into my project. Readers resonated with my vision. The collective effort, the multitude of voices converging, new stories, reflections, and insights flooded the thread. I found myself emerging from the deep, raw emotions of my past, emboldened by the warmth of community. Together, we began painting a portrait that told the deeper story of existence itself. In the days that followed, momentum continued to swell. I unearthed more narratives from armchairs and closets, childhood dolls, action figures, forgotten toys, each holding the echoes of their owners' lives, defining moments and unexpected lessons. The joyous spirit of the forum was palpable, a living organism animated by shared insights. Wasn't it poetic, the way that every cherished object could serve as a vessel for memories? I pressed on, capturing tale after tale. Some shared how their toys had imbued them with resilience, while others spoke about receiving warning signals in times of distress, manifestations of intuition wrapped in fabric and plastic. The wisdom contained within these interactions painted a stark picture. We were all united by common threads. As I worked late into the night, inspiration struck. I envisioned the ebook not merely as a collection of stories, but as a nurturing path for those yearning to explore how their own objects presented the ties between past and present. What if these narratives could illuminate new pathways for readers? What if they reconnected people to their childhood toys, urging them to listen closely to their whispers? By dawn, I set to work redesigning the ebook's outline. Each chapter would detail themes of intuition, connection, and memory, offering prompts for readers to reflect on their childhood relics, encouraging them to re-engage with the past and inquire, "What wisdom do you hold?" Once the ebook began to take shape, I understood it held the key to bridging our collective wisdom with future generations. If you believe in the power of stories to change lives, together we can shift consciousness, I encouraged in my next post. Let's make the past an active participant in our present. Contribute by hitting the thanks button so this exploration can flourish, so more lives can be touched, and we can inspire others to reclaim their own childhoods as we unearth deeper truths. With each update, the sense of anticipation grew, a vibrant connection thrumming through the online community. The horizon appeared bright, unfolding before me like a newly paved road leading through the expansive landscape of time, memory, and unyielding possibilities. I was ready to embrace that adventure, to share insights while illuminating the connections waiting in the shadows, beckoning us all to delve deeper into the fabric of existence. The weeks rolled by in a kaleidoscope of discovery, each day breathing new life into my ebook project. I felt as though I was surfing a wave of collective energy, propelled forward by narratives that poured in from fellow forum members. Each shared memory, every response, had enriched the fabric of our exploration, weaving a tapestry that resonated with truths both individual and universal. As I sat at my keyboard one evening, the faint fluorescent glow of the screens illuminated my tousled hair. I realized my writing had transformed beyond my initial intentions. What began as a simple retrospective on toys morphed into a profound examination of time and memory, an exploration of our connections through shared experiences. It became clear that this wasn't merely my story to tell. It was ours, a collective memoir whispering across the echoes of time. The Tamagotchis pulsed softly beside me, and I could almost hear them whispering, urging me to push deeper. It was time to finalize the ebook, but with an awareness that I couldn't rush this delicate process. Instead, I meticulously reviewed each chapter, ensuring each was rich with insight and emotion that felt like a living breath. From intuition to resilience, I highlighted the lessons hidden within, offering prompts to inspire the readers to seek out their own truths. As the formatting came together, I felt a gentle nudge of trepidation. Would this ebook resonate? Would it evoke the same sparks of connection for others as it had for me? Just as I finished my final edit, a message notification chimed softly, a reminder of the community I had cultivated. It was a simple note from a user thanking me for creating a space where their past could breathe again, where laughter and tears intermingled with nostalgia. I paused, overwhelmed by the moment. This was profound. Here were lives intertwined, stories shared as if a single thread bound us all together. In the distance, I could almost hear the collective heartbeat of all our narratives. It sent a shiver down my spine. This would not just be a document, it would be a stepping stone for others to connect with their pasts, prompting them to uncover the layers of complexity within their own childhood relics. With my heart pounding and a mix of anticipation and resolve, I opened up a blank post on the forum. The ebook is ready. I'm both ecstatic and humbled to share this exploration of time and memory. Your voices have shaped it, and I hope it resonates with you as it has with me. If you wish to support this journey of discovery, join me in unveiling these treasured truths. Please hit the thanks button. The stories we tell not only illuminate our paths, but also serve as a guide for future generations navigating their own. Upon hitting submit, an exhilarating wave washed over me. I revisited my roles, a participant in the community and a storyteller sharing comprehensible fragments of my sister's legacy. I could feel the thin veil between the present and our shared histories lifting, revealing a panorama of interconnected moments. And as I waited for their responses, the Tamagotchis chimed softly around me. In those moments, I understood that our exploration was far from over. We had merely opened the door to a vast expanse of connection, one that would linger long after the last page was turned, cementing our collective journey through time, memory, and identity forever in our hearts. The echoes of our existence danced brightly in the shadows, forever reminding us that every object holds a story yearning to be revealed and understood. This was the end of one chapter, but the continuation of infinite stories yet to unfold.